Welcome to the 41st episode of ML Backstage. My name is Mars Luna.
And I'm Ethan.
And we're introducing this podcast straight from the sixth dimension. This is a music commentary podcast hosted by just Joshua Luna today. Holo Kahiki Toves and Kainalu Kamai have busy schedules and they were not able to make it to this episode. We're going to talk about my latest single, Wolverine 2, inspired by the Deadpool Wolverine movie, and Wolverine from the Arcturus EP. And you know what, Ethan? I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm gonna let Joshua do the rest. Earthlings, grab your popcorn and let's get started. Back to planet Earth we go!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 41 of the ML Backstage podcast. My name is Joshua Luna, and this is a solo episode today. This is actually an impromptu episode today. It's pretty late in the month, and I didn't have any other time to do this, so might as well just get it out of the way now. If you are new to this podcast, this basically is a behind-the-scenes look behind. Let me rephrase that. ML Backstage is a behind the scenes look or time capsule of all the projects and singles and and special guests that are directly involved with or directly impact my musical moniker by the name of Mars Luna, space alien singer, cosmic prince from the sixth dimension. And today we are going over this month's yeet or not double single, this month's release, a single called Wolverine 2, which is based off of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie that just came out. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We're actually going to talk about Mars Luna's song Wolverine with Kyle Lowry, which was actually a part of the Arcturus EP that we briefly talked about in that episode. I'm normally joined by my co-host Holo Kaiki Toves and Kanalu Kamai, but like I said, this is basically an impromptu episode. This is pretty late in the month, and I'm crunching in on a deadline to get this episode in. So they're doing their own thing for now. They're all busy, and I'm basically giving them a break today. But anyway, let's get started with how everything's been going, because it's been a lot. It's been a lot going on, honestly, and I've been back in Vegas for about 3 weeks now, almost 4. And, sorry, I'm trying to get my words right. If you watched the last episode for that covered Raijo with Holo and Nalu, live episode, you can go check that out. I was basically in Hawaii for a whole month because of my grandpa's funeral, and you could see my grandpa's face in the background there, minus sans eyeballs. But I was in Hawaii last month for my grandpa's funeral, and it was a lot. I'm saying, and I'm still trying to get back into a rhythm and into a groove to this day. Every other day last month was about being with my grandma and being with my mom, and kind of planning for this funeral, and also helping my mom with her surgery that happened at the beginning of July. it's funny, the funeral is actually it's actually been exactly a month since the funeral happened. And I thought that, it would be closure, it would be weight lifted off my shoulders, it would be fun, whatever, because, you know, obviously with when dealing with grief, it's a whole wave of emotions that you're dealing with. And and it took a lot out of me. And I think it's reflected in my voice even right now. And it left me feeling detached and feeling empty. And I lost a lot of joy, a lot of passion. I lost my purpose and I lost my love for life, really. And it just took a lot out of me. And funny thing is, my grandma came to visit Vegas. My mom came to visit, and my uncle came to visit like about a week and a half later, right after I came back to Vegas, and did a lot of fun stuff. But and I'm grateful for those opportunities to do fun things. But it kind of took me out of a rhythm, and it's taking me a while to get back into the flow of things. Um, and I'm now slowly starting to get it back and starting to, find my footing again. And, I went to therapy um, a couple days ago, and my therapist basically said that, everything that I was feeling was normal, and, to give myself some compassion, some grace, and to figure out a way to do things that bring me joy. And I'm trying to get back into that now, um, which will segue into the Wolverine songs in just a bit. Um, but yeah, it took a lot out of me, and you know, still trying to get it back, you know, and also in a couple days on the 28th, it's my grandpa's first heavenly birthday, so it's been a cruel summer. It's been a weighty summer. It's been a heavy summer, and I can't wait for it to be over. And I don't know, just have to see how things go. I'm just trying to do my best out here in these streets, you feel me? And another thing I did for myself before I go into the Wolverine songs is got myself a haircut, you know, what I'm saying? Um, pretty cool. I dig it. And that's one way of taking care of myself, and I've been wanting to get a haircut for a while. I wanted to get my haircut in July, but my grandma said, well, just what's no good that one. You no cut your hair yet. Cut your hair after the funeral. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible Filipino accent, horrible. But and then the funny thing is when I came back to Vegas and my grandma came to visit, she was like, just why I gotta cut your hair already. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I don't have time. And I finally had the time to go ahead and get it cut. So, shout out to the homegirl Darian one time, Vibe Salon. If you're in the Sky Canyon, Centennial area in Vegas, go check her out. Um, she does a lot of men's cuts and, hair color and stuff like that. So shout out to her. She a real one. Um, but let's talk about the Wolverine songs. So Wolverine 2 released this month. I actually worked on Wolverine 2 um a few months back, but I want to talk about Wolverine 1 featuring Kyle Lowry. This song was one of the singles for the Arcturus EP, the Pandemic EP that dropped in 2020. It was actually one of the first songs, it was the first song that I wrote around the time the Panda invasion hit. And I know, shout out the homie Kyle Lowry wanted to write a song with me, and I was like, all right, cool. He really wanted to work with me, and I gave him some stuff to work with, and you know, Wolverine was originally called Leave Me Wondering, and Wolverine was a title that Kyle came up with, and I was like, okay, I dig this. You know what I'm saying? It kind of works out and it makes sense, and you know what I'm saying? It's Wolverine 1 is basically a song about, fighting the urge to quit. You know what I'm saying? And we were talking about like barely holding on by a thread, thinking about quitting music, thinking about, just trying to find a way to hold on. You know what I mean? And like how music was still a lifeline in our lives, even though the temptation is there to quit. And I talked about it more on the Arcturus episode, which is one of the very first ML Backstage episodes that you can check out. And I'll link that. I'll link that up above here. And Wolverine 2, which is this month's Yeet, was also written with Kyle Lowry. This song was directly inspired by the Deadpool and Wolverine relationship in the comics and the Deadpool and Wolverine movie that just came out. I'll talk about my thoughts on the Deadpool and Wolverine movie in just a bit, but this song is a song about brotherhood. This is a song about friendship. This is a song about working together as a team, and it's kind of like how the Deadpool and Wolverine dynamic is. I felt like it illustrated that dynamic pretty well in the comics as well as the movie, and it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend vibes. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine illustrates the Mars, Luna, and Lowry relationship pretty well also. So you can check out Wolverine 1 and Wolverine 2 on all streaming platforms, and you can go peep that on your favorite streaming platform. Let's talk about the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So the Deadpool and Wolverine movie was an absolutely ridiculous movie. Just like in typical Deadpool fashion. And it was basically everything I thought, a Deadpool and Wolverine movie would be. The dynamics between the two were illustrated really well. And the storyline was kind of all over the place, but it was based on the humor of the movie and based off of just the overall lighthearted, goofy nature that this movie had. It was exactly what I needed during that time, because everything was so heavy and I needed something that kind of lifted my spirits. And I would say the Deadpool and Wolverine movie did that for me. It was exactly what I needed. And I watched it 2 times in the span of 1 week. I watched it when I was back home in Hawaii when it came out after after the funeral passed because came out about a month ago today. And I watched it right after my funeral, the day after. And then when I came back after Wolverine 2 dropped, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine again. And it's a fun movie. Um, I recommend I recommend y'all watching it. And yeah. So um I want to talk about, you know, I mentioned in the last podcast episode that I recorded uh some footage every single day for the month of July. Um and I made a little docu-series, a video journal called The 31 Days of Grief. And it's split into 2 parts. So one of them talks about the first half of July when Holo came to visit his family and he got his tatau. And and it was around the time when we did the last ML Backstage episode, talking about like the first half of July was basically a theme about bringing the family together. Um, I didn't fabricate the themes. The themes kind of just happened. And then the second half will basically cover the funeral and like, all the time I spent with family and all that kind of stuff. Um, the main purpose for documenting everything in July was it was more so for me to see how I navigate through, grief in a healthy way. And it's just a way for me to document my thoughts and emotions and experiences as I learn to navigate through this level of grief for the first time. Um, these are unlisted videos, and they're on my personal YouTube channel. You can, I can actually put the video links in the description. So if you want to watch them, you can watch them. These are unlisted links though, so they're not necessarily available to the public. It's for the real ones, you feel me? So, you know, and I actually wasn't planning on recording anymore after that, but like I mentioned earlier in this episode, that my mom and my uncle and my grandma came to visit me about a week after I came back to Vegas. And I recorded some more footage because it's basically the first time that, my grandma's been out of the house and been able to travel anywhere because she's been insulated for such a long time. And it also covers like my grandpa's first heavenly anniversary, and this will be put out, I don't know, actually sometime in September. But yeah, I kind of just covered like some of the moments and some of the experiences that we had, you know, while I was, playing tour guide for my grandma and and my mom, and when my uncle came for like one weekend, and he basically booked a hotel room at the Bellagio for my grandma so she could see the fountains and all that kind of stuff. And my mom and I went to see it, and the view of the fountains was really nice. And and I'm glad my grandma had a great time. It kind of ended in the urgent care, unfortunately, because I think my grandma just wasn't used to the arid and dry heat here. Like, because like I said, she's been insulated for so long, and there was like a lesion like right by her eye. And I think she's doing better now, thank God. um but it's just unfortunate that her time had to end in the urgent care. But she's getting better now, and It's all good. But the August aftermath video will come out sometime in September, and be on the lookout for that. Um, and once it's out, I'll put it out and premiere it for one day, and then unlist it after. And then if you want the link, just let me know. Um, and normally, the meat of this podcast revolves around a question um, that relates to the songs or project's main theme or main topic. So so since we're talking about Wolverine and Wolverine 2, um, and the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I want to call back to, it's kind of a spoiler, but like call back to a scene in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie where Cassandra Nova puts her fingers in Wolverine's brain as she tries to kind of like you know, dissect some trauma from Wolverine's past. And then basically, uh, Wolverine talks about how he let his family down and all that kind of stuff. And, he didn't feel free. And then, Cassandra basically tells him like he can be free in the void or whatever. And then, Wolverine talks about how the X-Men is his family, right? And you know, Wolverine's kind of like this aloof personality, right? Kind of he's not necessarily a talker, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, this kind of leads to the aspect of family, Fast and Furious style, Wolverine style, X-Men style. You know what I'm saying? Nah. But anyway, I guess the main question is, how does a dysfunctional family impact a person? So I am I don't know about you. Y'all can answer this question for yourselves, and you can answer this question in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your responses. But I would say that um I am a byproduct of a dysfunctional household. I wouldn't say that my family was really all that cohesive or all that close, really. And my grandpa's funeral was the most united that I've seen my family in quite some time. Um, Usually in situations like that, it can either draw families closer together or it can drive a wedge between them. And in my case, I feel like the wedge didn't necessarily split us apart, but it kind of affirmed everything that I already knew about my family. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just a lot of different parts. And there's that, I grew up differently from most people in my family. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also a product of a broken home. So there's also that also, take that into consideration. And, it's, I would say being a part of a dysfunctional family is a pivotal and integral part of my life growing up. And usually, with life, you don't let the situations affect you. It's much as it is about how do you respond to situations, right? Life is about how you respond. And it's not so much about like how do you let stuff affect you. You feel me? And being a part of a dysfunctional family forced me to grow and mature in ways that I would not have anticipated, and I felt like I had to grow up a lot quicker than than I wished to because of the dysfunctional nature around me. Because you can either move forward and grow, or you can fall apart and self-destruct. And the only way to get through it is to, turn pain into power, like we talked about in the last podcast episode. And it kind of serves as an additional motivation to additional motivation to have a family of my own someday, because I want to have the family that I never had growing up. So that's probably my answer to that question. But I'd love to hear um, your comments in the comment section below. And if you do come from a dysfunctional family, let me know how you dealt with that growing up, and how you were able to respond from it. Um, so I have I have a section of the podcast called the upcoming music updates. And as I've mentioned in the last couple of episodes, I'm currently Mars Luna is currently in his Yeet era, in my Yeet era, where I'm basically just emptying out my hard drive to clear space for something new. So last month's episode, Rigel, is kind of a tribute to uh, my first two EPs, Genesis and Prelude, and next month's release is no different. So talking about Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice is one of the stars of Orion, and it also pays tribute to Genesis and Prelude, because everything comes around full circle. And it also coincides with the Beetlejuice, different spelling, the Beetlejuice movie that comes out in September as well. So yeah, be on the lookout for Beetlejuice. It's the next double single that's coming out in about a week, actually. So stay tuned, and should be another fun drop. Thank you so much to everyone who made it this far into this episode of the ML Backstage podcast. If you liked what you heard, or if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the ML Backstage podcast on YouTube. Follow on Spotify and Apple Music. Well, not Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, sorry, or wherever you listen to or watch podcasts. And like I said earlier, Beetlejuice comes out in about a week, and you can follow Mars Luna on Spotify and Apple Music. And I don't have anything else from there. I'm just trying to make the most out of this year and to maximize it as best as I can. And you know, 2024 has been a cruel year, but I'm alive and well. So just got to make the most of the remainder of the year and make it better than it was in the past. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Uh, there's the next ML Backstage podcast is next month covering Beetlejuice, and hopefully you can get Holo and Kanalu back for the next episode. And yeah, until then, as always, as Mars Luna likes to say, embrace your odyssey and embrace the strange. Shoots. Bye, guys.
I almost thought we wouldn't get an episode this month, but per usual, I couldn't let Joshua slip up. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the ML Backstage podcast. If you like what you heard, follow us on Spotify and Anchor, and subscribe to us on Apple and YouTube at ML Backstage. You can follow me on Instagram, X, and Facebook at It's Mars Luna. You can find all my music on Spotify and Apple Music and on my website at itsmarsluna.com. Thank you for streaming Wolverine and Wolverine 2. Next month, we'll have new music, a double single called Beetlejuice, and that automatically means a new episode. Bye!